Good morning. So, I've been learning Russian for the last year, and um, I've learned German before that, and I learned Spanish before that. And Russian, more than either of those two languages, I found has been much more challenging in the pronunciation department. And I've consumed lots of different resources and learned a little bit from each one of them, but I always felt like there was a missing unified theory of Russian pronunciation. There's always been, I thought that there was something that if I just found it, I could unlock I could unlock the whole puzzle. So this vlog, if I continue with it, this is just the first video, but this will just be me documenting, exploring what I've been learning, what I've been finding useful. Hopefully in the process, it helps someone else improve their Russian and their Russian pronunciation. I am not the expert here. I'm just learning like everyone else. So here's my first thought. Here's an aha moment I had just in the last week. I'm kind of starting in the middle of my journey here, but better to start somewhere than nowhere. And apologies if you can hear all the motorcycles outside racing by my house. I had this epiphany while I was doing my Anki flashcards. And if you don't know what Anki is, Anki, A-N-K-I, it's a very nice software that you can install on your iPhone, use from the web, install on your Windows machine, your Linux machine, your Apple machine, and it's just digital flashcards. And I love it because you can, I actually forget the term for it now, but it shows you the card again when you need to. So a card that you continue to get right, it might be a whole nother 2 months. There are cards that I have now that I've been doing it only since January, so 3 months now. There are cards that when I say, yep, that was an easy card, I won't see it probably for another 2.5 months. There are others that I keep getting wrong, and I see them very often. But eventually they start getting easier. Anyway, the point is, in Anki, I just found out in the last week, it has on board text to speech. So on all these flashcards that I make, I can basically set it up so that when I click the card to see the backside, to see the answer, it will automatically, in Russian, read it back to me. And you can pick from a bunch of different voices that are available on the iPhone, and that's great. Maybe I'll do a video on that some other time. The point is, though, that what's so interesting about that for me was that I know the rules of Russian pronunciation, but what you miss just by knowing the rules is the length of each syllable. And I think this is finally where I start to talk about my actual Russian pronunciation. It's helped me hear the length of words. Not just that, but you can hear how words kind of string together into one flowing sentence. You start to be reminded, I knew this already, but you really get a reminder every couple seconds that all words just kind of flow into each other. Even when I'm saying these sentences in English, every word is just flowing right into the next as if there's no break in between the words, as if there's no spaces whatsoever. But specifically what I wanted to talk about today, the realization that I had in being inundated with all these pronunciations now, even though they're not perfect, the computerized voice is not perfect. Sometimes it sounds very mechanical, but generally I think it tracks with what I hear while I'm listening to, all the podcasts that I listen to in Russian. Russian with Max, Что это было? So here's finally the aha moment I had while listening to this. The big aha moment I've had was that the vowels are Russians just race through the vowels. And maybe we do that in English too. I'm a native speaker, so it's actually kind of hard for me to tell. But in Russian, it starts to become really obvious once you start hearing the same sentence pronounced over and over again. One of the cards that I just ran across that I had added to my Anki deck just very recently came up today, and it was the command, take out the trash. And a month ago, I might have pronounced it like this. I might have said, принеси мусор, принеси мусор, принеси мусор. Something like that. When you listen to the pronunciation, and I wish I could just play it, but it's on my iPhone, which is doing the recording right now, so I can't do that. It's really fast. And the vowels, basically, they almost don't show up. They're not pronounced with any length. So it's more like принеси мусор, принеси мусор, принеси мусор. And that led to the big aha moment that finally I wanted to mention here today, and that's that it's almost like, and I'm not saying it's like this for every vowel, but you could almost, in Russian pronunciation, right in the beginning of most of the books, they'll teach you that syllables always start with the consonant and end with the vowel. So you have all these consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel pairs. And that's the chunk. Those are the chunks of Russian words that are spoken. And it's less about there being one way to pronounce each consonant, and there's one way to pronounce each vowel. So in the beginning of take out the trash, принеси мусор, принеси мусор, принеси мусор. That P-R-E in the beginning of that word, it's not like it's just pri, and I think about pronouncing all three of those at the same time, and then there's a vowel that actually has to be pronounced at the very end. It's more like you have to get your mouth into the right Russian mouth position. If you're not familiar with what's her name, that other podcast, Russian with Kira, she'll talk about this, the jaw, tongue, lips. So the jaw slightly forward, the lips slightly rounded, the tongue down in your mouth with the point, with the tip of the tongue touching the back of your bottom front teeth. So that pri at the beginning is simply you assuming the right mouth position, then doing what you need to do with your tongue, with your jaw, with your soft palate, with everything you need to do to get that E sound, that kind of positioning your resonance, your vowel in the front, kind of top of your mouth. I imagine there being this two-dimensional space where here's the x-axis. I can pronounce words further forward or further back, or I can pronounce them further up or further down. The E is way up front and way up top. So I'm projecting this kind of energy up into the top front of my mouth. And I hold that position, and then I simply say the consonants, P-R, pri, and then I just let the vowel just do its thing, its natural thing. So it's pri. And this is very different. This may seem like a really small thing, but to me, this is gigantic. This is the difference between what I used to think, which was I have to pronounce an E sound. Where is that E? I get all uptight, and I would kind of clench down. And I think that would ruin my pronunciation. Now I'm starting to realize, or I'm starting to play with this idea. We'll see if it pans out in the long run. But this idea that I can just form the mouth position, say the consonant, pri, принеси. And I almost even try, in the hyper-exaggerated example, to not even pronounce the vowels. They're simply kind of an aspiration following the consonants. And that's the other interesting thing that I notice. Like, Russian has a lot of not consonants. It has a lot of syllables in it. So you want to shorten the length of all the syllables, but you have to keep pronouncing you have to pronounce the consonants. And the way you know what, again, it's not about the vowel being really, it's not that the vowel isn't pronounced, it's that there's a slight aspiration. There has to be between all the consonants. There has to be some kind of vowel, some non-consonant sound that's produced, and it's produced because you're aspirating, you're pushing air out of your mouth, and it sounds different because of the mouth position. So you've set the mouth position already, you speak the consonants through that mouth position, and then just out comes the vowel afterwards. Prinisi, 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 prinisi. So where did I want to go with that? So I mean, I find this really interesting too. Like even I can make up this nonsense word. It's not from any particular language. It's just gibberish. So I could say there's no vowels in there. It's like a G and an L or something like that that I'm toggling between. I can also say a G and an L like this. Those are the same GL, but one has a mouth position that's further back in my mouth, and the other one has a mouth position that's forward in my mouth. There's no vowels in there. I'm simply toggling back and forth between two consonants. There's no vowels, but I have to pick a mouth position so that colors the consonants. And I think also in a way, and this does I think this has frustrated me, but there's no one way to pronounce a Russian consonant. There's no one way to pronounce it. Because I can pronounce that K all around in my mouth. And what I slowly am coming to realize, or this is my theory anyway, we'll see if time bears it out again, that you make your consonant only after having formed your mouth position. So speaking Russian, in short, my theory is that it's a series of change your mouth position, say your consonant, change your mouth position again, pronounce your next consonant, and you just keep doing that. Occasionally there will be vowels that you need to hold a little bit longer. That's fine. You're already in the mouth position. Just hold it out longer. I think of, prinisi has really quick vowels, musar, but musar. That's a longer one, right? Mu. But even there, I've formed the oo, and then I say the M over top of it. Musar. So there you go. Those are my very long first take thoughts on this topic, and we'll see where I go from there. Be well.